So I want to start with something I hear from every woman constantly. I've never been an anxious person. And then my 40s hit and it feels like my nervous system is on fire all the time. I don't know what happened to me. And what happened to you has a name. It has a mechanism. And it's not a sign that you're falling apart. It's perimenopause and the menopause transition. And today I'm going to explain exactly how and why it triggers anxiety at a neurological level, so you can stop blaming yourself and start getting the right support. So most people think of estrogen as a reproductive hormone, but estrogen is also a neurochemical regulator, and it plays a direct, measurable role in your brain's anxiety response. So let me walk you through some of the biological cascades that explain why the perimenopause and menopause transition and anxiety are so frequently connected. First, estrogen and serotonin. Estrogen promotes the production and receptor sensitivity of serotonin, the neurotransmitter most associated with mood stability, emotional regulation, and a baseline sense of well-being. And when estrogen fluctuates unpredictably in perimenopause, serotonin availability becomes erratic. And lower, less stable serotonin means greater vulnerability to anxiety, low mood, and emotional dysregulation. Step 2, estrogen and GABA. So GABA is your primary inhibitory neurotransmitter. It's what tells your nervous system to stand down, to settle, to register that you are safe. Estrogen potentiates GABA's calming signal, and when estrogen fluctuates, GABA's effectiveness decreases. Your nervous system loses its reliable off switch. And the result is a physiological state of low-grade persistent alertness, a nervous system that stays activated longer than it should, that recovers more slowly from stressors, and that can feel like constant background anxiety, even when nothing is specifically wrong. 3, the HPA axis. So estrogen also modulates your hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, your stress response system. And when estrogen is destabilized, the HPA axis becomes overreactive. It releases cortisol more easily in response to smaller triggers and recovers from that cortisol release more slowly. This is the biology behind what women describe as feeling like they're constantly on a hair trigger. So I want to spend a moment on something specific that so many women experience and can't explain. Waking up in the early morning hours, typically between 2 and 5 a.m., with a racing heart, a flood of anxious thoughts, or a sense of dread that doesn't attach to anything specific. So here's what's happening. In the early morning hours, your body's cortisol naturally begins to rise. And this is your circadian cortisol awakening response. It's designed to prepare your body to wake up and to face the day. In perimenopause, the hormonal disruption to the HPA axis we just discussed causes this cortisol rise to happen earlier, more sharply and more intensely than normal. Your body essentially sounds the alarm before it's time. And at the same time, overnight is when estrogen is at its lowest point, which means GABA's calming signal is weakest, which means your nervous system has no buffer against that early cortisol spike. So low estrogen plus an early sharp cortisol rise equals wide awake at 3 a.m. with a racing heart, anxious thoughts, and a body that feels like it's in danger, even though nothing has happened. Your brain then interprets that physiological arousal state as something to be anxious about, and the spiral begins. This is not psychological weakness, but this is your hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis misfiring in the context of hormonal transition. So what should you do with this information? First, if anxiety appeared or significantly worsened in your late 30s or 40s, bring it to your clinician with specific context. Tell them when it started. Tell them how it feels, whether it's tied to your cycle, whether it's worse at certain times of the month, whether the 3 a.m. waking is part of it. That information helps distinguish hormonally driven anxiety from generalized anxiety disorder or other clinical presentations, and it changes the treatment approach. Second, know that hormonal anxiety and clinical anxiety also can coexist. Addressing the hormonal driver may significantly reduce anxiety symptoms, but if clinical anxiety or panic disorder is also present, that deserves its own evaluation and treatment, and the two approaches are not mutually exclusive. And third, track patterns. Anxiety that worsens premenstrually, that correlates with cycle irregularities, or that come on specifically during a period of cycle changes is giving you important information about its hormonal origin. And hormonal anxiety is real. It is treatable. And managing it is not weakness. It is clinical wisdom. So whether that's through hormonal stabilization, targeted sleep support, nervous system regulation, or a combination. You have options, you've got strategies. And the first step is having a conversation with a clinician who understands the connection. So if this explains something you've been experiencing, please share this video. And the number of women who have been told their perimenopause anxiety is just stress without anyone mentioning the biology is staggering. So share this so someone else can help get an answer. Follow, like, and subscribe for evidence-based midlife education. And if you're ready to work with a clinician who understands the full picture, the full hormones, the neuroscience, all of it, visit Osteopathic Midlife Health. I'm Dr. Rebecca Hertel, and together we're going to continue to make midlife make sense.